So let me know when we can start it.
Greetings to all present here. Before beginning with the session, please make a note of rules and instruction which are to be followed throughout the webinar. You can switch on your videos but kindly keep yourself on mute at all times. Please try to log in through your laptop so as to get a better visual experience. An angel investor is an affluent individual who provides capital for a business startup, usually in exchange for convertible debt or ownership equity. Angel investor usually gives support to startups at initial moment and when most investors are not prepared to back them. A very good evening to one and all. I, Suhasini Gupta, on behalf of IIC of Shaheed Rajguru College of Applied Sciences for Women, University of Delhi, would like to extend my profound and earnest welcome to Mr. Sovan Panda, the speaker for today's session. I would also like to extend a wholehearted welcome to our esteemed Principal Ma'am, Dr. Payal Mago, and convener of IIC, Dr. Ranjana Singh. I would like to extend our sincere and heartfelt welcome to all the scholarly and knowledgeable teacher and to all the thoughtful and attentive audience present here. We are truly humbled beyond measure for such an overwhelming response. We are glad to have Mr. Sovan Panda as our speaker for today's session. Sir is product leadership coach. He is also mentor at IIM Udaipur Incubation Center. So now I would like to welcome Mr. Sovan Panda, sir, for guiding and telling us information on angel investment, VC funding opportunity for early stages.
Thank you, Swati, and thank you for giving the opportunity. It's a honor and privilege to be talking to all of you. All the, I believe, all of you are young entrepreneurs. Is that correct? Or want to be entrepreneurs, correct? So we'll keep it interactive so that you can get the maximum out of the session. Can I know how many of you are already thinking about doing a startup or building a startup? You can, even if you don't want to unmute and speak, you can put it on the chat. Anybody who is really looking for building a business or a startup or taking the entrepreneurship journey, feel free to type on the chat window. Okay, only Rishika, no one else? Thinking but not planned. Okay. Fine. Keep going. Keep putting your comments. Okay. So now I'm sure, okay, in the interest of time, you can keep posting your comments and I will look at it and keep answering those. What is it that actually stops you from starting something, starting a business or starting an entrepreneurship? Anything, any inhibitions, anything which, you are one of the response was yes, thinking, but have not planned. So a lot of time actually goes in this thinking time, right? You might be, if you're writing a book or if you're thinking about a startup or entrepreneurship or doing something, typically a lot of time is spent on thinking about it, that I want to do, I want to keep doing it. And it when you look back, you will suddenly realize that you would have already spent maybe 6 months, 1 year or 2 years only thinking about it, and you have not started, right? So yeah, Gauri, you say it is risk. What else stops you from starting something? One is risk. What are the other reasons why there is a delay for somebody to start something or start an entrepreneurship journey? Any other response? Okay, so busy schedule. Okay, busy schedule. The thought of it not being a success, okay, which means you think it may not become successful. Economic status, okay, economic status, okay, fair enough. Now this helps me because this, whatever you are typing here, it will help me to understand your mindset and perspective, and then I'll be able to take the session more effectively. Not getting enough profits. Okay. What else? Keep writing down. Keep putting your thoughts. Okay. Not sure if we will be able to tap the correct set of people. People means, I mean customers, right? When you say people, or are you talking about building a team? When you said people, it is about your team or about customers? Customers. Okay. Not ensuring sustainability. Great. Good. All the, whatever is those innovations are coming out. This is excellent. Do not have enough knowledge about business. Okay. Great. Keep pouring. Good. I will clarify all of these things, whatever you have written. And in case there is something which is still there, which you feel you have not put down in the message in the chat window, please let me know. Or you can keep typing it, and then we will take up some of those things also. Okay. So let's start with need more knowledge in my field of study in life science to venture an idea for a problem. Okay. So let us understand. Now, the topic itself goes about angel investment or VC funding opportunities for a early stage startup or early stage venture, right? So what it essentially means. So there are, let me first talk about the categories of people who start a business. I'm talking about from a perspective of an investor, and then we'll come from the perspective of an entrepreneur, okay, or a founder or a co-founder. So let us understand. So what essentially happens? Anybody who is looking for starting some business or starting a, or helping to solve a problem, there are three categories of people, okay? The first category is somebody who says, let me try it out. Some of you said there is a lot of risk and all those things, which means you're not ready to try immediately. But there are people who would be willing to try it out and say, okay, let me try it out. If everything goes well, fine. If things do not work, I'll go back to my job or whatever I have studied. Based on that, I'll get some opportunity. Correct? Is this one kind of thought process which many people carry? Yes or no? Okay, so this is one type of people. The other type of people, category of people, who will say that, my friend or I know somebody who has got funding. Okay, and hence let me do something. Let me start an entrepreneurship. Then, possibility is there that I will also get funding. And if that happens, good, because it's not my own money, it is somebody else's money. And using that person's money or that investor's money, if something works out, fantastic. If it doesn't work out, again, I don't have any risk because it's not my money anyway, right? This is the second category of people. Okay. So the third category of people are the people who are very serious about it. They want to do something. They want to really start a business, and they want to make it a success come what may. Okay, so these are the three types of or categories of people. Now, many times as a founder, as an entrepreneur, you would not know in which category you are falling into, because you are just starting, right? You just think, okay, let me try it out. You never thought that, I will, this is my intention. You just want to start something, you get carried away, you know some of your friends are doing it, then you also feel like doing something of your own, right? So you would not be able to understand which category you are falling into. And that's why I'm giving this particular insight. When any founder or a startup talks to an investor can find out, they can figure out in which category you are actually falling into. Okay. And typically, investors will not invest in the first two categories. They will only invest in the third category. Irrespective of about your idea, about what stage you are in of your company. You may be just having an idea and you just started, but an investor can figure out by talking to you, by understanding your mindset, that you are falling under which particular category. And hence, any point of time when you are doing any business or you plan to start something, you should try to evaluate, get that insight about yourself, to understand whether you are willing to do something, giving that commitment that I want to start and I want to make it successful, or you are just trying it out. So if it is a trying it out, definitely you are not going to get any kind of an investment. No, you can keep talking to investors and it will not progress. Okay. Any point of time, if you have any questions, you can stop me and we can take those, or you can in fact put it in the chat window and I'll answer those. Okay. So let us understand. So when you are starting a business or an entrepreneurship, always think from the perspective of your customers and your investors. Okay. Moment you think about, let me try, all these questions about risk and all those things will come. Okay. So you are trying to do something, maybe it may not work, but if you are serious about it, okay, then it definitely works out. Now, since you are in all college, you are going to get into some larger organizations, or you will be starting your business once you're out of college. Let me give you another very important example. Is, let's say when you are in a company, okay, and you and some of your colleagues are having the exactly same level of skill sets, same understanding, same knowledge. You have studied the same thing. All of you are in the same job, and now company suddenly is not performing well. Okay, this is just a scenario. This is an example. The company is not performing well, and then what happens is that company decides to lay off some people. Okay. Now, in this whole setup, let's understand there are two people. Person A, who is exactly having the same skill sets as person B, but person A is having a tremendous level of commitment. Okay, and person B is not so committed, but skill set wise, person B is equally capable as person A. Okay, person A is highly committed. Whom do you think the company will fire? Person A or person B? You can keep typing. A person with a higher commitment will get laid off, or person B with a lower commitment will get fired? So what you are saying, person A persistence is very important. So which means person A will be retained in the organization. Is that correct? Is that what you meant? Yes, right? So we can clearly make out that it is not just the skills which is very important, but B will be fired. Yes, sir. Amisha. So it is not only about your skills. What is also important is how much committed you are on taking up some opportunity or taking up some particular work. Okay. Remember, all this particular thing, very, this is a very serious thing. Whether you are getting into an employment or a job, or you are doing entrepreneurship, commitment is the key. One of the key things. Right? You talked about, some of you mentioned, Corey, you mentioned about persistence. All of these things are important, but all these will come only when you are committed to whatever responsibility you have taken forward. Okay, so when you have taken up something, you are committed to completing it. Commitment means what? Taking the responsibility, ensuring that you are completing it and taking it to the finish line. And that is what is about commitment. Or people who give you certain activities, they know that if I give something to person, then that person can deliver. He can, implement it. I don't have to follow up. I don't have to worry about it. And that is what is about commitment. So commitment is extremely important, whether you are taking up a job or taking up an entrepreneurship. So this is the second aspect which every investor would look at, whether you are committed, even if you are in the third category, whether you are committed to take up whatever business or idea that you are looking for, or you are not committed and you are, you are trying to figure out again whether it will work or not. Okay, so these are two very important aspects of it. Now let us understand, who would get a funding, who within the category C of people. There are so many startups, so many businesses are there. Which particular company or which particular group of people, founders and co-founders, will get funding? Okay, let's understand this. Now, when you start any kind of a business, now some of the responses which I have got here is that you do not have enough knowledge about business. And yeah, this is very important question. One of the comment which came up: need more knowledge in my field of study in life sciences to venture an idea for a problem. This is a very key, statement which you have made. You have to look for ideas or finding a problem which is being faced by a lot of people. Only then you can look for the right type of company or right kind of a business that you can get into. Okay, so many times what happens, there are people who would say, I have an idea and I know that I can make this. This is a very important. I know this will work. Okay, but how do you know whether it will work or not? You do not know, right? I'll give one example. You would have heard about a company called MyGate, and there is one of the person who was looking at creating a similar product similar to MyGate. MyGate is a startup, and the person had come and with looking at a lot of gaps in the existing startup which is called as MyGate. Okay, they have figured out a lot of gaps and said that I want to start something on my own. So what I exactly told him is that, why don't you talk to various apartment complexes, talk to them, discuss with them, and see whether if you solve these gaps, are they willing to switch from MyGate to your business, whatever app you are going to develop. So that person went and spoke to about 6 different apartments, and all the apartment association, they said no. We are good with, no, we understand that these are some gaps here, but we are good with whatever is being offered by MyGate. Right? So many times, as a thought process, as an entrepreneur, we think that whatever I'm thinking is right. My idea is the best. I know that this is going to work, but ultimately, you are generating revenue from your customers. If customers are not willing to pay for your business, for your product or services, then obviously what is going to happen is you're not going to generate revenue. Okay. So it is not about your idea which is important. What is most important is your idea which you have, which is for solving a particular problem. Is that problem being faced by a lot of people in your community, in your society, in that particular city, whichever place in the country? And are they willing to pay for it or not? If they are not willing to pay for it, obviously you can build something. There are a lot of companies which have started, who have built an app. They have spent few lakhs of money, and then nothing has moved because there is no takers, there are no customers for that. So it has gone. The money is spent, the time is spent, but that startup never took off. Okay. So we need to understand this particular aspect very much. So you have to always look for, so who is an entrepreneur? Okay. Entrepreneur is somebody who solves problems. Correct. And solves whose problems? Customers' problems. Okay. And how do you figure out whether, how do you figure out that you are going to solve the problem? That means you need to have that inquisitiveness. You need to have that understanding that what is happening around me, what is happening for my customers, what is happening in my society. Unless you understand and look for those things, you would not be able to identify the right kind of an idea or a problem to be solved. Okay. And that goes as a first step. So the risk element, when one of you mentioned, that it is very risk, or you mentioned about risk. So you said about risk because risk means what? I do not know who is going to pay for it. If I spend money and time, will it become successful or not? Okay, so that is one of the element of the risk. Now, that will only happen when you do not know whether whatever you are going to build or develop is being, or is it going to be used by my customers or not. And that is the first step that we need to figure out. If we do not figure out that, then obviously the risk will continue to be there, right? So we have to look for becoming an entrepreneur. Now, another very important point I want to bring it out here is entrepreneurship does not mean that you have to start a business and only then you are an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship, all it means is that you are looking for solving a problem, and eventually that can turn out to be a business at a later point of time. You could be in a job and you can still have that entrepreneurial mindset, which means you're always looking for solving problems. You are within the company also, you can become an entrepreneur, which means you figure out whatever is the job given to you within the company. Like some of you might be doing internship. So, there are certain, work which is being assigned to you. You have to not only look at that particular work which is being assigned to you, but also look at, can I solve the problem? Is there something more I can do which will help, or which will help eliminate some of the things? Or can something be automated? Or can a process be improved? Okay. Only when you start thinking like this, that is when you are having an entrepreneurship mindset. Okay. And that's very, very important. And to build this particular mindset, you have to always look out for what is it that I can do better? How can I make things better? Okay. So this is all about the mindset. And when we talk about mindset, this is what every investor is looking for, irrespective of right from an angel investor to a VC fund, a VC venture capitalist, whoever it is. They're all looking for, these are some of the traits, right? The first thing that we discussed about, in which category you are falling, whether you are committed to take up that particular work and complete it, take it to the finish line. The third is, of course, commitment. We discussed about it. And are you willing to solve a problem, and are you solving the right problem? Okay. Do you have the entrepreneurship mindset? If you have all of these things, it becomes very easy for you to secure a funding. Okay. Now let's come up with few other point of view which you called out. Some of you called out. One is busy schedule, right? Now, busy schedule means what? What is busy schedule? Busy schedule is, all it means is you have something else as your priority, right? Everybody has 24 hours. Everybody is busy. Okay. Am I willing to give that priority to something or not? That will decide on which particular activity you'll be busy. Correct? So if entrepreneurship or solving problems is your priority, obviously you'll be able to take off time and start doing it. But today, if you are completely tied up, it's not necessarily that you have to do something. Whatever is important and priority for you, you have to only focus on that. Right? Whichever becomes a priority for you, you have to focus on that. And obviously the schedule and time will automatically get adjusted to that. Okay. Coming to other aspects of it, economic status, you need money, whether you will be able to generate profit or not. Now let me talk about, doing a business is a step-by-step process. Okay. So let us understand, we talked about the idea. So always when we have an idea, we have to look at validating that particular idea or a problem that we are trying to solve. Okay. How do you do that? We'll come to those various stages. So every entrepreneurship journey has 4 different stages. First stage is called as the struggle stage. The second stage is called as the success stage. Third is your sustenance, and fourth is your growth. Growth is your takeoff. You're no more in the runway. You have already taken off. So that's your growth stage. So what is a struggle stage? Struggle stage means all the problems that you listed down right now. Till the time you overcome all of those problems, you will continue to be in the struggle stage, which means you do not have a right team. You do not know who should be part of your team to do something, to take up entrepreneurship. You are still figuring that out. So that's your struggle stage. You do not know whether you are solving the right problem, that's a struggle stage, which means there are a lot of unknowns. The risk that you typically call for, that is what is your struggle stage. Okay. Now, how do we overcome from that struggle stage and move to the next stage, which is your success stage? Which means we have to be always as close to a customer. Only then you will be able to move from a struggle stage to a success stage. So let us think about it. Everything that you are facing as a challenge during the struggle stage or during your entrepreneurship journey, we have to always keep the focus has to be customer. If your focus is customer, every problem gets solved. Okay. So let's take an example. You have an idea. Are there enough number of customers who are facing the same problem? If the answer is yes, you have already eliminated one level of risk. Okay. So you have moved from idea to a idea validation stage. So that is the step number one. Okay. Always we have to be closest to the customer. Now, once you have identified that, yes, this is the right problem that I'm solving, what we typically call in terms of the entire product management roadmap, which is called as customer validation or customer insighting. Okay. So customer insighting is nothing but forming a set of questions and identifying the right set of customers for whom you are solving the problem, which is called as customer segmentation. Okay. Finding the right set of customers and also finding whether they are actually facing this challenge and they're willing to have somebody solve the challenge for them. That is called as customer insighting. It is nothing but a set of questions which you formulate and you start going and talking to the customers and you start doing surveys. In a simple terms, customer insighting is nothing but forming a set of questions and doing some surveys, taking some interviews, okay, with your customers, with your prospective customers. And that is called as customer insighting. So whenever you are developing something, you have to be closest to your customers because ultimately customers are paying money, they are paying revenue, right? They are giving you money. So that's how your revenue gets generated. So let me take an example. There was one person, one woman, she was facing one challenge. Her daughter, when she was going to school, she was not drinking enough water. Okay. Now, she wanted to solve that problem. So she said, I will create something. I will create a wearable device which will go and fit. Basically, she can put that wearable device in her daughter. And then if she is not drinking water, she will get alerted. And also her mother will get alerted whether she has consumed enough water or not. Okay, so this is the problem that she wanted to solve. Now, when we asked her to do a survey with a group of customers, because you are creating a product, so you have to understand whether all mothers are facing the same problem or not. So we asked her to do survey with at least 100 people. Okay, and she did a survey. So we created a form. We understood what are the different set of questions that we want to ask. We understood what is the age group of those people, whether they are working people, working couples or not. So there are some basic questions which will be there. And then there will be a set of questions to understand whether they are facing the same problem or not. So when she did the survey, she was completely, when she actually got the results, she understood that none of the people were facing that particular problem. Even if they are facing that particular problem, they were not willing to solve it. Because it was not so big a problem. But a bigger problem that they had was when they're working and they are sitting in front of their laptops in one of the room, their older parents are there. Which means we were earlier talking about a mother who is solving a problem for her daughter. Basically, daughter is not drinking water, right? So that has shifted completely where the same mother or father, okay, their parents, okay, who are older, who are sitting in another room and they are not taking medicines because whole day you are working in front of your laptop and you don't even know. And only after you have completed your work, you get to know, oh, my dad, did not take medicine. Okay. Or my mom did not take medicine. Okay. Or they were having another set of problem in which, suddenly older parents, like or aged parents, they had a fall. And, people were working in other rooms, so they did not make out what happened. So there was no alert. So the whole customer segment shifted Can you understand this? Can you relate this? Customer segment was you're trying to solve for a mom. It shifted from people with older parents. So your entire customer segmentation got shifted, right? And the problem that you were trying to solve is no more a problem, but a different problem which emerged, which is nothing but you have to create a variable or something, some alert mechanism, which will alert people that your older parents are either not taking medicines or they need water or what. Okay. So this is how you figure out whether you are solving the right problem or not, and who is your customer, right set of customers. Now to do this, uh, one of you mentioned about economic status not ensuring sustainability. There is not enough money, right? So to do this, you do not need money at all. So business or a startup does not mean you have to spend a lot of money and only then you will be successful. It is not like that. First, to identify a problem and to identify whether that is the right problem to be solved, and to figure out your right set of customers, customer segmentation, you do not need money. You have to just do a set of surveys, form the right set of questions, and then interview people, understand the customer persona, find out who is your right persona, right customer segment, and then you have to figure out whether you're solving the right problem. It is very simple. So it is all about having that level of knowledge which will help you. So when you do not have that understanding or a knowledge, you will typically end up spending money and time on things which are not important. Okay. And that is when you will feel that, okay, this is not working out, or I have to spend so much of money and still I'm not getting it. So from an investor point of view, from an angel investor point of view, we actually look for these things. No, we actually look for things like this, whether the problem is being solved, whether the customer segmentation has been identified in the right fashion. Are there customers who are willing to pay if you are solving the problem? So this is first thing. You are still in the struggle phase. Okay, you are still in the struggle phase. You are not moved to the success phase. Now, this is the first touch point that you had with your customer. The second touch point, once you have understood that who is your right set of customers and whether you are solving the right problem or not, at this point of time, you have to come up with a solution. You have a problem. Now, solution could be a wearable device. It could be some app that you would have developed in your mobile phone, which will give you an alert or something. It could be completely different solution, right? So the solution that you have to develop will vary. And now you have to do something which is called as finding the right solution for your customers, because there are n number of solutions. And once you find out the right set of solutions or a set of options that you have, typically, again, we have the same mindset, same understanding as an entrepreneur, that probably whatever solution I have come up with is the best solution. But ultimately, it is not like that, right? So we have to do, which is called as problem solution fit. Okay, you're finding whether the solution that you have come up with is the right solution for your customers or not. So we come up with various solutions. We come up with POCs, and then we again go back. This is the second touch point with the customer. We again go back to the same set of 50 to 100 customers, understand whether this solution will work for them, or solution B will work, or solution C will work. And this is a very important exercise, because you are doing it with some set of 100 customers. You have to understand customers' thought process or mindset, and only then you can find out the right solution for them. Okay. So that is the second touch point that you have, which is called as problem solution. So once you have figured out, okay, out of 3 different solutions, this particular solution works best, correct? Then you are again in struggle phase. You have still not moved to the success phase. You have to figure out whether now you have to develop that solution into some kind of a POC or an MVP, a small prototype or a small product, and see whether that product is right fit for your customers. So you are developing a small POC. Again, it will not cost you so much of money. It will cost you very little amount, and that you take up and go to the customer again as a third touch point, and you will validate your MVP or your prototype. That is the third time. And the fourth time, By the time you go with the actual product with your customers, by this time, your customer is already willing to pay for it, which means you did not spend any money on marketing. You did not do anything. The only thing you did was you had a very strong customer focus and kept on validating your idea to problem, to solutions, to your prototype, to your POC, whatever, your MVP. MVP is nothing but a minimum viable product, which is workable solution basically, and that you uh, that you got validated. By this time, you would have spent almost whatever 1 to 3 months or 6 months. By this time, customers are already restless. They want the solution, and they are willing to pay for it. And that is called as validation of your product, and which is called as product market fit. Okay. So once you have reached this stage and customers are willing to pay for it, you have some prototype or a product or MVP, customers are willing to pay for it. That is when you have moved from a struggle stage to a success stage, which means success stage is nothing but there are few customers who are willing to pay, or you have already generated small amount of money, small amount of revenue. That is called a success. So in startup world or startup definition, success means there are few customers. Everything has got validated, and there are customers who are willing to pay for it, or they have paid for it. So that's your success stage. Now think about it, when you follow this particular process entirely versus lot of entrepreneurs who would not follow this process. Okay, they could be in the third bucket, which is third category of people who have commitment, who have everything, who are willing to do, who can do, whatever it takes, but they do not follow this process properly. Obviously, they will not get funding, because as an investor, think about it. As an investor, would you invest in something which is already validated to some extent, or not at all validated? Right? So you would be willing to invest when something is validated. Okay. And now to validate each of these things, you would not need so much of money. And that is where an angel investor typically comes, when you are just moving from your struggle stage to a success stage, and or maybe you are in a success stage. That is when the investors will come, and they will start investing so that you can now start building more and more of those products and start taking it to the market. Okay. So let us understand. So why this risk will come, or why this thought of not being successful will come. This will come when we do not know something, when we do not know the right process to be followed, or when we do not know whether we are solving the right set of problems. These are the areas where you will have issues. Gauri, you mentioned about if you be able to tap the correct set of customers. Now, I have just told you the process of how to tap the correct set of customers, how to do the customer segmentation, right? So that will help you to solve, not ensuring sustainability. We'll come to the sustainability part. I do not have enough knowledge about the business. So again, how do you build the right set of knowledge? Now, some of you may not come from the business background, or some of you may not come from an entrepreneurship background. So how do you get to this? Is by farming. So for anything to do, let us understand that you cannot do it alone. Okay, entrepreneurship or doing something, building a product is not a lonely journey. It need not be a lonely journey. You have to, first thing is you have to form a team. Okay, a few people should come together, work on the same idea, have the same passion that I'm going to solve this problem. Nisho, you can please unmute. Yeah, thank you. So you solve the problem, and then you know that you have a team who is willing to solve the same thing. This is very important. So having a team in place is absolutely critical for you to move further, right? And make it a lot more successful. Lot of big companies are not formed because there are only one or two people, because there are many people in the organization. So we have to form a team. When we talk about team, you have to look for a team who understand various things. So you have to find a person who understands technology. You have to find a person who will understand little, who can talk to the customer. You have to find a person who would be able to, who has some understanding of business or the strategy of how to do business. Or you have to find out the right set of mentors. So likewise, somebody who understands finance, because you have to do some kind of a financial modeling or the business model canvas, you have to do. So you have to find the right set of team. Once you form the right set of team, you have to bridge the gaps of the knowledge that you do not have, right? And that is where you will be able to have the right. So when you typically, investor would not invest in a company where there is a single founder. When there are 2 or 3 co-founders, that is where it becomes a very lucrative business opportunity for every investor. Why? Because it need not be a person dependent business. It has to be a process. So when it is a process, obviously it becomes very easy, right? So that's about success stage. Now moving from the success stage, the third stage is called as the sustenance stage. What is sustenance stage? Sustenance stage is nothing but you have achieved success. Now from here, you want to move to generating a predictable revenue month on month, and that is called as sustenance. So let's say you have generated 20,000 rupees so far, okay, and you are already in the success stage. Now you want to create that as a predictable model for you, which means you know that every month you are going to generate 20,000, which means it is giving you some level of sustenance, and that is called as sustenance. And slowly, what you do is that predictability of 20,000 you start going. Sir, can you please go on mute? So you will keep increasing the predictability of this 20,000 to 30,000 to 40,000, 50,000 per month, and that is where your sustenance stage and your grip on the business will keep on happening. Okay, so that's called as your sustenance stage. And typically, VC investors will come at the sustenance stage or at the growth stage. They would not typically come in your first 2 stages, which is your struggle or a success stage. And angel investors will typically come in the first 2 stages. Okay. So if we summarize whatever we discussed so far, first of all, when we talk about investments, when we talk about any angel investor who will come and put money into your business, what we need to understand is we have to first understand which type of entrepreneur you are, whether you are just trying it out, whether you are just looking for funding, or you are very serious about doing a business or doing a startup, right? So that's the first thing we discuss about this. The second very important point is about having that level of commitment that I will take it to the finish line. That is the second step. The third is having a very strong customer focus, which means you are not doing because you have a great idea. It does not matter. Customers should be willing to pay for it. So which means you are how close you are with your customer. And then the fourth thing that we discussed about is having a proper product implementation approach mindset, which is doing your customer insighting, validating your problem, validating your solutions, validating your product, which is called as product market fit, and then slowly moving from your struggle stage to your success stage. Okay, and obviously once you have all of these things, you have to have the right set of teams, or you have to form right a set of teams so that you will be able to build, because business should not be dependent only on you, and everything you cannot do alone. So you have to have people who can take up different roles and responsibilities. Okay, typically in any kind of a startup environment, people are very eager to spend money, very eager to get hire people. Okay, it's not about spending money or hiring anybody. It is all about spending money on the right thing and hiring the right set of people. So we should understand whether whatever hiring that I am doing, that hiring is fitting that particular roles and responsibility that I have defined for my company. Okay, and only then you will be able to grow your business. And then from your success stage, you have to move to sustenance stage, and from sustenance, of course, it will be growth stage. So by the time you will have, I'm sure I have answered all your specific innovations and questions that you had put it in the chat window. I will stop here, and any specific questions that we have, I'm ready to take, and we can discuss.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving us deep knowledge about the topic. Now the forum is open for questions, so drop down your doubts in the comment section.
Any question you have, anything that you want to clarify as a doubt, please type. Feel free to type, because this is important, right? You cannot keep everything with you. Unless you clarify, you will not move, right? Anything that comes in your mind, please feel free to ask.
Sir, I think there are no specific doubts. All the doubts have been cleared within the session itself.
Yeah.
No, we have.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. There's a question in the chat box. So often there are common misconceptions people have related to startups. How can we combat these misconceptions and communicate more effectively?
Okay, so what are the type of misconceptions, so that I can answer in the right way? Because there could be various, right? Are you talking about not getting support from your parents, family, friends? Is that the kind of misconceptions you're talking about? Or what exactly? Jaswita, you can either type or you can even unmute and speak. People think it is risky, fear of failure, maybe, right? Fear of failure. Okay, so these are okay. So let me clarify that these are not misconceptions. These are reality which most of the people face, right? People face these realities. People think it is risky. It is actually risky. Now, till the time you start generating revenue, how can you say that it is not risky, right? It is risky. Okay, let us accept whatever it is. Entrepreneurship is not easy, but with the right guidance, right handholding, right support, when you follow the right process, you typically go through this. Now, let me clarify to you what is fear of failure, right? What exactly is fear? Let's remove the word failure itself. Let's talk about fear. So fear is nothing but you are thinking about something which has happened in the past. Okay. And then you think that probably it may happen tomorrow also. Or you are thinking about something that you want to do in future and you are not sure about it. Okay. So fear always comes when you are oscillating between your past and your future. When you are thinking about your past, obviously that fear will come. Okay. Let's say somebody has to go and stand in a stage and speak in front of 500 people. In the past, that person has not done a great job. So that person is having a fear that, if I go now, what is going to happen? So that is the fear, which means you're thinking about your past. Or whether you're thinking whether I will be able to do a better job or not. So that's, again, you're thinking about your future. Okay. So when you're oscillating between your past and your future, that is when all these fear, different types of fear of failure, fear of success, all these things will come. What's important here is that you have to always be in the present and take action. When you don't take action, the fear comes. Let's say you have to appear for an exam. You have not studied. Obviously, fear will come. Okay. But if you have studied, if you are spending time in studying, that fear goes away. So moment you start taking action, the fear just vanishes. So when you take the right set of actions, always be in action mode. Always take the required things to be done. The fear will vanish away. Okay. That's one way to solve it. The second way to understand about this particular fear is because this fear builds up because there is too much of expectation that other people have on you, and that is when all of these fears and all will start coming up. Whether I'll be able to do it or not, all these questions will start popping up. Okay, so don't worry about all of those things. Business is risky, but if it is done in the right way, in the right steps, in fact, everything in life is risky, right? We have to do this in the right way, then it happens. Now, when you are starting up, when you are just out of college, if you have the support of your parents, then before you jump into your job, you can definitely work on the business. And when you are doing something on your own, alone, that is when the challenge will start coming up. More challenge will happen. You have to start thinking from building a team and doing it together. Then all of these risks will go away. We talked about risk means what? You have spent time, you have spent money, you have not generated revenue, right? Or you may fail. So that is how we have to overcome. How can we present our idea properly to the investors so that they can get the exact picture? Any specific that should be there in our business model or plan? Yeah. So this is a very important topic that we should discuss here. Is what is an investor looking for when you are making any kind of a pitch or a presentation? You should be able to clearly articulate only few things, not too many things. And of course, in your pitch deck, you will have the right set of content that you have to build. You should first communicate that you have identified the right problem. Okay. And we have to demonstrate that this problem is being faced by a lot of people. So if you have done some bit of survey with your group of people, with your customers, with your prospective customers, then you will be able to prove that, I know this is the right problem, and I know that so many people are looking for solving this particular problem, and hence I am having the right. So first is your problem. Second is you come up with solutions to understand or solve this particular problem. These are the set of solutions, and then you have to communicate to the investors that out of these problems, solutions that I have come up with, this is the best solution because of XYZ reasons. Okay, it can be a very simple presentation, and then you say, I know the solution now. This solution can be implemented in the form of an app or in the form of a product, and this is again the best way to implement it. And I know when I did the survey, so demonstrating the process is very important. You say when I've done the survey, there are so many people. These are the customer personas who have actually. It's a very detailed topic, so I'm just covering on a high level. We have to communicate that thing. The next thing is we have to build the business model canvas. Business model canvas is very important because that talks about who is your customer segmentation, what is the revenue models that you will have, what are the different ways in which you can generate revenue. Okay, how will you package that revenue, which is nothing but your revenue model. Okay, what kind of resources, what type of cost which is going to be spent. So that has to be articulated properly. Okay, you will have to go through this whole exercise. But as long as you are able to demonstrate your passion, you are able to demonstrate the problem, solutions, and the process that you are following, and showcase that you are committed and you are serious about it, that does more than 70% of the job. Okay, the rest has to be built up as you progress. Okay, so sir, let's say we have a startup. It does solve a problem of a society, but due to its limited production, its price range is high and targeted audience is limited. Was willing to pay less. But if we focus on price and compete with pricing policy, then quality suffers. So with a limited budget, how can we combat this situation? Okay, let's understand. Okay, so you are talking about quality, you are talking about the pricing. Okay, so quality is something which you cannot compromise. So two things you cannot compromise, or you should never compromise, is customer focus. What customer wants, we have to provide that solution to them. Okay, so that we should never compromise. And many large organizations, even after they have built a product or a service, they keep on validating whether that is the right thing that they are doing, and they keep on tweaking their product based on customer feedback. So that should never be compromised. Okay, that is one. The second thing that we should always focus is on the quality. Quality should again not be compromised. Now the question comes, can I deliver the same quality with lesser spend or lesser price points? Is it possible? Answer is yes, it is possible. Okay, but it all depends on what type of startup you are doing. If we take example of Zerodha, it's a bootstrap, it's a unicorn. It's a stock broking platform, stock trading platform. They have never used any licensed software. Okay, they are all using FOSS, which is free open source software. Okay, to build their entire product. Now think about it, a trading software or a trading platform or investing platform built on a completely open source software. Okay, it is, people may think it's completely risky, but they have identified the right set of FOSS, which is free open source software, and built their entire platform. And they are saving a lot of money on the software licenses. So these are just one examples. So we have to come up with strategies. Now, what is strategy? Strategy, if I just think from, okay, Hindi. Okay, so Hindi mein raniti bolte hain isko. Okay. Similarly, in business, it is called a strategy. Strategy is nothing but you achieve something by spending less money and less time. Okay, you get more customers by spending less money. How do you do that? You have to strategize it. So this is where the strategy comes. Your pricing strategy could be very different. So when you talk about quality, you were saying that, okay, I have a product. The basic product is available at this price. But if you want these features also, the subscription price goes up to whatever. From $9, it will go to $18. And then it will go to $49. So you are never saying that my product has low quality or less number of features. All that you are saying is, if you are willing to pay only this much, then this is what you get. But of course, you have an option to upgrade it into a higher subscription based on the features of my product. So there are various strategies which are available, which you can use to price it. Okay. The other aspect that we need to look at is, can you be lower priced from your cost, from your competitor? How can you be lower priced than your competitor? By reducing your cost price, right? Your price that you have used to build your product or service, if you are able to reduce that, and that is called as moat. So that's again a very important topic. You have to think about most of the successful large organizations. They focus on this moat is they always want to be less costly from their competitors, so that if competitors reduce the price, they will be able to reduce the price even further and still be profitable. So a lot of times the strategy will work. What is one piece of practical advice you would give to somebody starting their own business? Okay, so this, I think, Anita, we covered in the entire discussion. But what is most important when you are starting your own business? First, ask question why are you doing this? Why exactly you want to do this particular business? Because unless your why is very clear, you'll not be able to do that. I'm talking about one example, one of the startup who created a small, device, which is like a fingerprint device. You put your finger and it tells your diabetic reading. Okay. Now, why did they come up with that particular product? Is because right from childhood, they were seeing their parents who are diabetic parents, they have to prick 3 to 4 times in a day, okay, to check their their glucose reading, right? And that's a painful, and many times people don't check that. And, when they actually completed their education, they completed their graduation, they wanted to solve that. For them, it was very important for them to solve, because they wanted to ensure that their parents do not have to go through that. Okay. So when you are starting your own business, okay, so 2 things we have to keep in mind. One is, why are you doing that? What is so important for you that you want to take up that particular idea and solve it? Okay, so that's one. The other reason is, are you just looking for success or you're looking for significance? Which means, are you only thinking about yourself? You cannot think about yourself. So when you are, again, I'm taking a stage example. When you are on a stage addressing, let's say, 1,000 people, you have 2 kinds of thought process which can come in your mind. One is, how am I looking? What are people thinking about me? You will never be able to deliver a message. The other way to look at it is, I have come here to deliver something important to my audience. So can I give the right message? So when you shift your focus from yourself to what you're supposed to do, to for whom you're doing it, the whole execution, the whole way of execution changes. So success is always thinking about yourself, right? But when you think about significance, you're thinking about the society, you're thinking about the people, you're thinking about the problem that you're solving for your customers. So when you start thinking about them, not you, when you're doing a business, it's not just about you. Of course, you will make money because you are doing a business, right? But unless you think about people, customers, it is very difficult. So, Anita, those are the two things that you should focus on. I hope I've answered all your questions.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering our questions. It was really helpful. The institution's Innovation Council extends sincere gratitude to Mr. Sovan Panda for delivering this session today and sharing your journey with us and inspiring us to follow our dreams and never giving up on them, even if the going gets tough. Thank you for taking out the time from your busy schedule and joining us. We are grateful for the learning experience that you provided us. We extend our deepest thanks to our principal ma'am, Dr. Payal Mago, for being our pillar of support and strength. We would like to extend our heartiest thanks to all the teachers for their constant support and motivation. Last but not the least, we would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to the audience for showing your keen interest in this webinar. We hope it provides you with a great learning outcome. Thank you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. And, all the best to all of you. And have a great day. Thank you so much.